All right, so what is excellence? Who can attempt that? What is excellence? What do you think about it when you hear the word excellent? What comes to your mind? Doing ordinary things extraordinarily. When you are speaking spiritually, you are speaking spiritual grammar, all right? Make it simple. Don't make it big. Don't make it complex. Don't make it complicated. And that's why we can have lessons, we can have trainings, we can have seminars, we can attend church, we can hear words, and we get excited with the terminologies used, and we go out and we can apply them. Because we are only moved by the euphoria of the expression delivered by the teacher or the instructor or the facilitator, maybe the pastor or the apostle or whoever it is. How can you relate with doing ordinary things in extraordinary way? That's so correct. But how many people here can relate with that? He says excellence is paying attention to details. As simple as that. If that's all you know about excellence, it means that you pay attention to details. In other words, no room for error. No error is negligible. A man of excellence does not think there is any error that is negligible. And that's where how failure think. That is all right. That is so common. That is so small. I mean, it's negligible. It's nothing. But this negligible, when it happens over time, it becomes what? Tangible. How does a habit start? It's a gradual process. How do people become sick? The gradual process. A pain starts so small on the foot, and then he ignores it. And nothing. He doesn't pay attention to it. And then it increases. And before you know, the leg is swollen. He said, what happened? I didn't know these things just started so small. He neglected it. I thought it's nothing. And before I realized, it swelled up and become so big. And now the doctors have recommended that I have to have an amputation. That thing that started so small. You got to deal with it from its roots, where it started. Don't wait until it grows. When you start ignoring small errors, you are setting yourself up to committing big errors. I hear him say, did you get that? If you begin making provision for small, negligible, in quote, errors, you are setting yourself up to committing big errors that cannot be ignored. And when those errors, where those errors are committed or are made, maybe where your destiny would be at stake, where your opportunity is at stake. So you begin by handling it from the smallest task you are committed. And you don't determine which tasks to pay attention to details about. Every task is important because every process is a training. Listen, whatever you ignore today, you would have to contend with it tomorrow. Whatever you ignore today, you will have to contend with it tomorrow. So deal with it today so you don't have to confront it tomorrow, because tomorrow may be too late. All right? Okay, so let's look at, I've written something here, a comprehensive definition that can help you conceptualize the concept of excellence. Number one, excellence is the consistent pursuit of the highest standards in character, attitude, and performance. Excellence is what? Consistent pursuit of what? The higher standards. Excellence is a consistent pursuit of the higher standards in what? In character. In what? In attitude. And in what? In performance. Consistent pursuit of the what? Highest standards. Underline the word highest standard. And underline the word consistent. Consistent. Very important. Because excellence has to do with what? Consistency. You must be consistent. Consistent pursuit. In other words, you're going after. You don't stop. You keep adding more layers. What destroys progress and success is the satisfaction at your last level of accomplishment. You did it yesterday and you applauded. It was nice, it was beautiful, it was excellent, and then you stayed there. And all your references have always been the things you did yesterday. But the things you did yesterday are already gone. It's what you do today that matters. What are you doing now? Are you consistent? Are you continuous in your excellence, character, attitude, and performance? So it is a consistent pursuit of the highest standards in character. You must have high standards in character. You must develop a higher standards of character. You must set standards for yourself. Standards you can compromise. Your life, your character must be regulated by principles. What are the principles you've set in your life that are regulating your character, controlling your behavior, your responses? Why do you do what you do? Why do you think the way you think? Why do you respond the way you respond? Why do you talk the way you talk? There are things you may never say because of the standards that you have set in your life. There are places you may never go. There are things you may never do because you have set standards that you can go below. I hear what I'm saying? One of the standards I've set for myself is that it cannot fail with me. It's my standard. I can't come back and say it cannot be done. It is a standard, it's a principle I've set in my life or for myself. Yeah, I can't come back and say it's not done. It's not possible. Because all things are what? Are possible to him that believe. So I'm a believer. I believe in the instruction. I believe in the project. So it is possible. Number two, I'm reliable. I can fail. Except for circumstances beyond explanation. So I've made up my mind not to fail. To fail people, to fail myself, or to fail my leaders. I made up my mind to be reliable. In other words, I say what I mean and I mean what I say. If I tell you 2 p.m., it should be 2 p.m. Be reliable. You want me to tell you some more standard I set? And that's what that's what regulates my life. The way I act is because of those principles. I can't give excuse because I learned that excuse you from success. Excuses reduce a man's value. So I told myself, no excuses. Everything is yes. That's everything positive. Not on the negative, all right? Not on the negative. You should be predictable. You have done it so well for a long time, consistently, that you can be predicted. There are people who are not consistent in character. They change like a chameleon on a daily basis. You can succeed like that. You can rise like that. You should be known for something. They don't mean what they say, and they don't say what they mean. They're always changing. They're like the man that was described in the Bible. His name is Reuben. He said, you are unstable like water. Though you have potentials for greatness, but you can excel. You have received prophecies that you're going to take over the world, but it may not come to pass because you are unstable like water. You're unreliable. You're unrestrainable. You can't be restrained. You act according to your feelings. You respond according to your impulses. Have you heard people say, I just say my mind, I just tell my mind? Listen, if you want to be a success, you want to be great in life, you don't always say your mind because your mind is not always important. Saying your mind all the time will put you in troubles. So you have to have self-control. The Bible tells us we have not given a spirit of fear or timidity, but a spirit of what? Of power, of love, and of what? A sound mind, self-control. You must have ability to hold yourself in gratier, control your emotions. I just say it the way it is. Listen, sometimes you don't always say it the way it is. Sometimes you just walk away. Maintain your integrity. Just walk away. We must deal with this matter to logical conclusion. We must deal with it to the logical conclusion. And you are there exchanging blow and shouting and boxing, and they say, hey, Pastor, leave him alone. Pastor, leave him. Pastor, leave him alone. Pastor. And the crowd is gathered and is trying to separate pastor from the tout because pastor wants to prove that he was right. Ingratier. Maintain your integrity. Sometimes some arguments are not necessary. Do you know you can win an argument and lose a fight? It is better to lose in an argument and win the fight. Are you learning something? Yeah. Sometimes it could be with your boss. You just want to prove that I was right. And what you succeed in doing is that you have lost your trust with him. And that may take a long time. Some years ago, my grandma told me something, and that's so important. He told me that never tell an elder you're a liar. I told her, Mama, you just lied. You lied. I was a small boy. I told my grandma you lied. And then she called me. He says, never tell an elder that you lied. Just walk away. Leave the judgment to God. So you must have standards in character. Your character must be predictable. Let people hold you by your word. All right? Your character must be predictable. So you have standards in character, in attitude, and what? Performance. Principles that regulate your work attitude. Your work attitude. How do you do what you do? Do you have high standards in work? What are your expectations? Are you satisfied with the quality of work you are producing? Are you proud of it? If what you're doing is measured at a global scale, will it meet up the global standard? Are you challenged to improve, or you are satisfied that you've done the work? And that's okay. And that's not okay. It's not always okay. Good enough is never enough. There's always room for what? Improve. Have standards of performance. You can go below this. At least begin with the organizational standard. Work towards exceeding the standards set by the organization. Go the extra mile. Don't be satisfied at your convenience. People of excellence are those who have inconvenienced themselves to produce excellence. Sometimes you may need to stay awake. Sometimes you may need to stay late. Office closed by 4. By 3:30, you're already setting up to close. You have not done with your work yet. But because you are closing by 4, even though the work is not done, you're planning and preparing to leave. So after I'm done for today, I'm going to continue tomorrow. You may never rule your world like that. All right? Understand this. Listen, excellence is not perfection. So a man of excellence is not a flawless man. It's a man who works with the mindset of continuous improvement. That's why it is a consistent pursuit. I'm not there yet. At the same time, I'm not satisfied at this level. I'm not satisfied being here. He believes there is more. There is more in him than what is done. So it is not perfection. It is not flawlessness. All right? It is consistent improvement and high quality effort. You're always making high quality effort, attempting to go in higher than you were. It is a practice. Listen, excellence is not a prayer. You know, you work in an environment, a spiritual environment, and you pray about everything. You pray away your responsibilities to God. A lot of us have, delegated our responsibilities and handed everything over to God, and everything is about prayer. No, prayer is not the answer to every question. Prayer alone is not enough. Otherwise, the scripture would have told you to pray away everything. But there are things that the scripture tells you to do. We are not hearers of the word alone, but be what? Be what? Prayers. Is that what he say? Be prayers of the word. You hear to pray. He says, be doers. He says, giving all diligence, add. He didn't say, giving all diligence, pray all these things to yourself. He says, add. It means it is an effort required from you. The first thing he tells you to add is what? Excellence. That's the first thing he tells you to add to your faith. In other words, faith without excellence can lead you into shipwreck. It can shipwreck your faith. A man of faith without excellence will end a failure. Don't forget, we're living in a changing world, and God is expected of us, and the word is expected of us to live to the standards of the civilization that we are exposed to. If you live below the standards of this civilization, you may not be able to penetrate this civilization with the gospel that you have. Do you understand what I'm saying? In those days, we hear things like, just start anyhow. The people understand you are just started. Listen, we are living in the world that nobody wants to understand that you are just started. There is a standard expected of everyone, and there are multiple options and alternatives that don't matter. The moment you don't meet the expectation, they change. Because there are a lot of people, 1,000 and millions of people doing what you're doing with excellence. So they don't have that patience to wait for you to grow. Man, you need to grow. The world wants to see a grown man, not a baby man. The world we live in, it doesn't want to see a baby man. They want to meet a grown man. They want a finished product. They don't have patience for your explanations. They want results. They want results. So you must be result-oriented. So before you bring it out in the public, you must make sure that every detail is complete, at least to a greater extent. Nobody has patience for half-baked product. The world knows you got potential. Yes, we applaud you for your potential, but we are not going to be, our needs are not just going to be met by the fact that you got potentials. Your potential has to be translated into what? Reality. That solves problem. I get what I'm saying? So don't remain at the level of potential. Convert your potentials into feelable, tangible, reachable, touchable reality and present it with excellence. So it is not flawlessness, it is not perfection, but it is a continuous pursuit of high level quality effort. Do you understand it now? Are you following me? Yeah.